Well, hello everyone, and welcome in to the Six Screens Telenetwork JW World News. Well, of course, that's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about, but we talk about it every Saturday night and every other Sunday right here on the Six Screens Telenetwork. Friends, I'm so happy. I'm so pleased that Six Screens has become the place where ex Jehovah's Witnesses come to talk. And they've been doing it now for 20 years. And how nice it is to be able to talk to people of like mind, people that have had their lives, many of them turned upside down because of the Watchtower organization. Well, we'll be discussing some of the news tonight. The Watchtower it doesn't want us to know, as we say. And we'll find it very fascinating, very informative. We get a lot of changes taking place in the Watchtower. And I know that if you're kind of questioning the Watchtower right now, if you're kind of leaning toward the exit door at the Kingdom Hall, listen in tonight. Don't be thinking we're a bunch of mad, irate apostates. Stay in here with us, and I believe you'll find everything to suit your fancy. Well, I'm coming to you from the apostate capital of the world. Well, that's up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And I mean, I can brag about it. I really can. There has been more apostates in one gathering ever in the history of the ex Jehovah's Witness movement. We had 350 plus people up here in August of 2025. August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and right up here in right up north of Boston at the Hilton Hotel. And it was amazing. So thank all those guys that came up and were with us. We had a great time and a lot of fellow apostates. And if you ever have the chance to go to any other meetup or any convention, if any are held in the future, by all means attend. You will get a great feeling. You will get to be with your real brothers and sisters, the ones that have been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. All right, well, let's take a look. Let's see what's going on behind the curtains tonight. And, always something going on, right? Always something going on. But what I wanted to bring up here tonight, right off the bat, is nobody really in the world we're living in today, with all of the different anxieties and all of the different pressure that people have on them today. Now, no one really takes the Jehovah's Witnesses seriously anymore. I mean, I don't know if they ever did. Maybe at one time they did, but nobody really takes them serious anymore. Everyone is just seeing who they really are. Isn't it nice? The world is waking up to who the Jehovah's Witnesses really are: an evil, misogynistic, money hungry corporation that overfills its cup and leaves its members empty. That's who the Jehovah's Witnesses are, i.e., Watchtower, the mother organization. What it does is it silences victims, it protects pedophiles, and now its little sheep, they can no longer wear a mask because people are identifying the witnesses, identifying all the problems that Jehovah's Witness organizations has right now. The mainstream media, including big names, NBC, CBS, CNN, all the big names, they have mocked the Jehovah's Witnesses for decades, haven't they? When you think about it, there's been various programs on. Maybe you missed some, but the mainstream media is not taking Jehovah's Witnesses seriously. I don't think they ever have. We know that many of the Jehovah's Witness publishers, those knocking on doors all over the neighborhood, well, they were portrayed for years as parodies and on TV sitcoms like Married with Children. You remember that? When the Jehovah's Witnesses visited the house of the people that were married with children. They've been on the Steve Harvey show. They've been on The Simpsons. They've been on Saturday Night Live. And one movie I can think of that the Jehovah's Witnesses were kind of made fun of was the Coneheads. Remember that? That's just to name one. They've been in some other movies as well, making cameo appearances, so to speak. But a lot of credit for the Watchtower having their tarnished image. It's got to go to the ex Jehovah's Witnesses sharing their stories, their They're the ones who are creating YouTube videos, the ones who are posting on Facebook, the ones posting on JW, XJW posts in different communities and discussion boards. So those are the people that really should be getting the credit. And I get news that Jehovah's Witness governing body, it really seems like right now they're going out on a limb. They're really going out on a limb, trying to keep its members. And we've been talking about this, but I really see it's totally manifest now. I see it's totally within my line of thinking, and I think it's in your line of thinking too, that you can almost do anything being one of Jehovah's Witnesses today as long as you stay silent. Oh, yes, as long as you stay silent. This seems to be a new governing body policy. Yeah, you can do things wrong. Maybe you go out, maybe you stole something from the store. Maybe you had a little act of promiscuousness. Maybe you bought a few lotto tickets, maybe even won the lotto, but just don't say anything. Keep it silent. If you keep it silent, the governing body seems like they'll be all right with it. In short, you can take practically anything lightly as long as you don't tell anyone. And I mean, this seems to be the case. I'm getting people writing me here to the 6 screens, sharing information that, excuse me, they're getting away basically with murder. Just don't tell anyone. But the problem happens, and you heard it on Dick and Constance show earlier. If you're a witness listening into the 6 screens tonight, and you had a little sin, or maybe even a big sin, and you heard Dick say it, you don't have to bring it to the elders. Don't do that. I mean, you could be disfellowshipped in a heartbeat. Take it up with God. He's the one that will hear it. Pray to him and tell him what you did. But don't tell the elders. You tell the elders and you're a dead duck. So the organization's desperate. I mean, you know that. We all do it. We don't have to put on our total thinking cap to see it. We can see the governing body, the organization, they're very desperate, very desperate. And, they're actually letting a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses right now celebrate holidays. Did you know that? Well, many Jehovah's Witnesses celebrated New Year's Eve, and many Jehovah's Witnesses are silently celebrating birthdays. Many Jehovah's Witnesses actually had Halloween parties. Can you believe that? Now, maybe not on Halloween night, but they have had Halloween parties like a week or so earlier. So that's what's going on. And I'm finding that what's of interest here is they seem to be getting away with it. No, nobody's really bothering them. The elders are just, keep it silent, don't say anything. See, it's why would the Jehovah's Witnesses, why would the organization want to lose people right now? Well, because they have so many going, they're hemorrhaging. Why would they want to keep losing members? So they're kind of just being very tolerant. They're almost saying, okay, fine, you want to vape, you want to drink alcohol to excess, you want to have tattoos, you want to have piercings. I'm beginning to think the governing body is just looking the other way. As long as you don't tell others, oh, no, don't tell others that, you got smashed the other night at the local bar. Don't tell the brothers and sisters that you vape or you smoke pot. Don't tell them that. No, don't say that, because that could get you in trouble. So just kind of do it. The governing body will more or less go along with you, the witness world, the elders as well, but just don't say nothing. And, I'm shocked. I'm shocked, just like you are shocked, how the landscape, the politics, if you want to use that word, have changed in the organization. In fact, I'm even going to go out on the limb myself. I'm going to tell you that you can actually even be an apostate, and everything is fine as long as you don't share your thoughts with other witnesses. How many apostates, so to speak, still going to the meetings. I mean, we call them PMOs, but they're even probably worse than that, right? I mean, you could consider a PMO an apostate, but there's probably some pretty hardcore apostates still going to the meetings. So virtually everything, including, well, maybe not immorality to its furthest point, promiscuousness, yeah, but virtually everything except hardcore immorality and celebrating Christmas at this point is a matter of conscience. Did you know that? Yeah, in fact, mostly everything. It's almost as though even you could do a birthday. It's almost that's like a matter of conscience, and it's only a matter of time, I think, before the Watchtower kind of gives their magic wand to the whole thing, like beards and trousers for women. So I think it's only a matter of time. So here's what's happening: the governing body knows that if they started really coming down heavy on all those people who were doing secret sins in the Watchtower, that maybe it would start a revolution in the Kingdom Hall. That's how much of this promiscuousness seems to be taking place in the Kingdom Halls. So they'd rather continue towing the line as everyone else, all those reaching out, as long as they're reaching out and putting that little check mark in the box for the ministry, and as long as they can go at least to the circuit overseer's visit, they're going to be okay. They're going to be okay. The Watchtower will give you, well, they'll give you blessings to you. You're nothing, friends. If you're an active witness member, you're nothing but a number to them, and that's all you are. But my thought is here: don't ask, don't tell, otherwise you go to hell. I mean, I just made up a little rhyme there, right? And once they know, out you go. Remember that. Once they know if you're doing some mischievousness, out you go. But keep sending money and God will overlook everything. Well, that's how I think it's always been in the Watchtower. I mean, all of us have got stories to tell of elders that would do things that the normal rank and file wouldn't do. I can remember an elder years ago. He celebrated, he had one child, and he celebrated the child's birthday, never told anybody. He did that for years. And how many out there know that? How many know there's elders and even higher officials of the Watchtower that are doing things, but just don't tell? Look at Tony Morris. Of course, he got nailed, right? But look at him driving out to a liquor store. I think that liquor store is a good 20 miles away from Warwick. Why did he do that? He wanted to get away so nobody would see him. But he wasn't going to say anything. He wasn't going to tell everybody, hey, brothers and sisters in the congregation, I went and bought $1,000 worth of Macallan whiskey. He didn't say Macallan Scotch. He didn't say that, did he? No, he didn't. He didn't say anything, but they caught him red-handed. So at some point, the Watchtower is going to have to call it. Call what? So some people are saying right now, there's kind of in the ex-witness world, there's two ways of thinking. Some people are really thinking the Watchtower right now has got to call the big A at some point. They've got to do it in order to really scare the people, get them all ready for Armageddon, what they've been doing for years. And maybe they're looking for the absolute right news event that would eventually spark the GB to say the end is here. Well, I don't know if I'm in that camp entirely, but there are many in that camp that are saying that they're going to have to call it, because what it does, when you tell people the end is coming, and like in 1975, do you know a lot of people actually joined the Jehovah's Witness religion in 1975, thinking the end was coming and they had to get back to the meeting? And did you know that certain times in history have caused people to run back to the organization, or even helping more people join the ranks of Jehovah's Witnesses? Well, that happened at 9/11. Oh, everyone was so frightened. Oh, the world is ending. Jehovah's Witnesses are right. So the organization or the governing body, they're eventually, I suppose, they're going to have to say something that could spark Armageddon, or at least get more people back to the meetings. But, I think that's the very thing that keeps people coming. if you say it again, they've said it so many times that, I mean, how many times can you say it? So they're very cautious right now. But I'm just thinking, all this week, that's all I saw on the news was up in Minnesota. And I'm even wondering, what are the congregations in Minneapolis? What are they saying about all these riots? Well, of course, even the rest of the nation, even the world, is looking at what's happening in Minnesota right now as a real act of civil disobedience. And you know what happens when there's a whole lot or a massive amount of civil disobedience, you know what can happen? A civil war. Oh, yes, it can. And that's going to be, I'm sure, what the Watchtower is kind of suggesting among themselves, the Jehovah's Witnesses, perhaps, that, oh, we're on the verge of a civil war. Oh, the war, the whole nation is fighting against each other. This is definitely going to be a sign of the times, sign of the end. So you see, the Jehovah's Witnesses, they never let a crisis go to waste, right? And we know that's an old saying, but how true it is. The Watchtower will find a crisis in almost anything. They'll always find an excuse to amp up the fear. Depending on which way the wind blows, Jehovah's Witnesses will always be running around like Chicken Little. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. Now, if a civil war ever did break loose, and I'm not saying it would, who knows what's going to happen from one day to the next, but if a civil war would take place here in America, I would think the governing body would really emphasize, man, we are getting very close. I would have no question with that. And I know you wouldn't either. The Watchtower has always made these predictions of Armageddon. Well, they did it right after World War One. Well, Russell was preaching that 1914 would be Armageddon. Well, we all know that. And then they did it again in 1925 with Rutherford, and how the ancient worthies or the prophets of old would come back in 1925, and the end was going to come in 25. And then, of course, 75. I think 75. I think the governing body, I think the Jehovah's Witness organization, I think they learned a lesson. And they're going to be very, very cautious about even saying anything about, well, it's coming. So we really haven't heard here as of late the Watchtower saying Armageddon's right here. You don't hear them saying that much, but they're constantly suggesting and not naming it as the end, but little innuendos that they give out to the congregation. So, one thing that really rocked the Jehovah's Witness world was that November 2025 Watchtower study article. And it had to do with, we just don't know, it may not come in your lifetime. Yeah, that's what they said in that article in the Watchtower about Armageddon. They don't know. It just might not or may not come in your lifetime. That was an atomic bomb dropped on the Jehovah's Witnesses. Do you realize the ramifications of that? Thousands, perhaps even millions of Jehovah's Witnesses scratch their head. This is something that was totally disturbing to them. And I'm thinking that the governing body realizes that they've got to constantly keep people alert. But by making a statement like that, I think really a lot of witnesses found the exit door at the Kingdom Hall. So they know if they can just get through these baby boomers dying off and some of the Gen Zs dying off, then that's all gone. All those past lies the Watchtower taught will go away with the baby boomers dying and the Gen Zers. But the yes.
Hey, it's Eric. I was just going to say that, the members, though, don't forget that they all have, what is it when you please your captors? But they all are are making excuses for the Watchtower. My grandfather, which, God rest his soul, thank you, Grandpa Henry, for telling me this, but he told me about 1975 when I was a child. And I don't know, as a teenager, I don't remember how old, but he told me all of it, and I was like, wow. And he's like, yeah, it was pretty traumatic for a lot of people. People weren't brushing their teeth. He told me all of this, people were telling their kids not to worry about school, everything. Everything went to neglect, and he was guilty of it too. And he said, son, on top of, with all of that said, really what happened was Jehovah was testing his people and those that left, because he admitted that there was a massive, clear out. And he said the people that left were not loyal, they were not loyal servants of Jehovah. And the reason why I bring that up is because history repeats itself. And it just seems like time and time again, people like my parents, the old school generations, they just keep making excuses for the governing body, for the changes, for whatever it may be. They just keep, and they always have an excuse. And till this day, if you go on anything like Quora or any kind of Reddit or anything where the witnesses can come back at you, they have the same argument point. Oh, some guy, a bunch of regular Jehovah's Witnesses just got carried away and predicted 1975, but we all know that's bullshit. Anyways, Rick, thank you. That's my point for tonight.
Well, good to hear from Eric. Thank you very much for chiming in. Yes, indeed, always good to hear from Eric. He's a good guy. He keeps moving forward. He was one of Jehovah's Witnesses at one point, but he now sees how false and scandalous it is. Well, I'm thinking we did another AI video this week. I haven't put it up anywhere. It's going to go up tonight on Facebook and YouTube later on. But I wanted our audience here to exclusively see, this is the 5th AI video we did. Now, what we're doing, my daughter, who's a very talented graphic artist and knows how to work with AI video creations, she came up with a real good one. I think this might be one of the best videos that we've got. We've got 5 of them. And what I'm thinking here, in the modern age we're living in, we can read things and we can, get some information. We can glean certain things from reading. But I always believe in imagery. And I always said it, that people think in pictures, they reason in pictures, and they move to action in pictures. So I'm carrying that philosophy or that thought into the world of the Jehovah's Witnesses. If they can just see imagery, imagery sticks in our mind. It's hard sometimes to shake an image away. And I mean, even great photographers know this, right? And when you stop and think of some of the greatest images ever produced, look at the Time magazine in Tiananmen Square in China with the man standing in front of the tank. You think in images, don't you? You think of President Kennedy being shot there in the Lincoln Continental and his wife Jacqueline next to him. These are things you remember. So I'm hoping by creating some good AI video clips that the Jehovah's Witnesses will at least get a little tidbit of imagery that could kind of shake them loose, help them to leave the Watchtower organization, do some further research. So I also believe in brevity, being brief. Don't make them too long. People only have so much time. I mean, our 6 Screens programs here, friends, on Saturday night, they last, and it amazes me, they last sometimes for 2, 3, 4 hours. But I'm trying to realize that, not everybody can listen in for 2, 3 hours, but little clips, if they're only less than 2 minutes, are going to make all the difference in the world. So what I'd like to do, now this has to do with Beth Sareem, the House of Princes. And we all know the story. We'll discuss it a little bit afterwards. But we all know the story with Beth Sareem and how Rutherford had a mansion. And he had a Cadillac. And, well, I'm not going to ruin the video. Let's get that up here. Let me share the screen. Let's play it for you. And you can get an idea of what we're talking about here. I think you'll find it very fascinating. And we'll comment a little bit about it afterwards. So listen in. Let me play the clip. And let's do that right now.
Beth Sarim, Hebrew for House of the Princes, is a mansion built in 1929 by the Watchtower Society. According to the 1939 Watchtower publication Salvation, this San Diego mansion was built for the faithful men of old, who would be resurrected and reside in the home. The Watchtower later abandoned the mansion's purpose and stated the house was built for Brother Rutherford, second president of the Watchtower Society, because his doctor advised him to spend his winters in a warmer climate. However, the real purpose for the mansion was strictly for Rutherford's use and his servants, to live high off the hog through Watchtower funds during the Great Depression. Although he knew the mansion was strictly for his own benefit, Rutherford fabricated this so-called resurrection of the faithful men to keep his true intentions concealed and to maintain the urgency of the end times for his own financial gain. Of critical importance, Rutherford already falsely predicted these men would return in 1925, 4 years prior to the date of the mansion's deed.
Well, there you have it. That's our newest. That's our newest Watchtower video clip, AI video. And I'll tell you what, it's we're gonna put that up tonight on Facebook and put it up on YouTube. And the thing is, that's one of the things that got me out of the Watchtower when I learned about that mansion that Rutherford had, and that really disturbed me. I'm saying, man, that was during the Depression, and here Rutherford had two Cadillacs, yellow Cadillacs. One that he had out in the West Coast, and from what I understand, he had one on the East Coast as well. But they were preaching back then the end would come in 1925, and there you have it. I mean, no end. But I wanted to do that video, and how foolish it was that he was saying the patriarchs of old were going to come back, Isaac and Jacob, well, and others were going to come back and live in that mansion. And when you stop and think about it, it's so foolish. And he actually had the deed to Beth Sarim, in their names, of all things. He didn't want to see. He was really trying to convince the witnesses at the time that, it's for them. It's not for me. But it was for Rutherford all along. He was a con man. But anyways, great job my daughter did, and I really want to thank her for that. It's it's something that, like I say, it's something that I hope can get witnesses thinking. And we've done a series of them, and you can go to my Facebook page or go to my YouTube channel. We have 4 others on there, and I think you'll find them all rather fascinating and attention grabbing. So I want to thank my daughter, and I want to thank all of those that have commented on them as well. And if you do that, comment on them and then like our channel, even subscribe to our channel, and you'll see more of this coming out in the future. So anyways, let's see what else is going on. In fact, before I do more about that subject, when I was first getting out, Beth Sarim, Johannes Grieber, Russell acting like a jellyfish and couldn't keep his hands off women. These are all things that rock my boat. These are things, I mean, I don't know if the United Nations was another one of them that rock my boat. And, a lot of witnesses even to this day don't know about these things. So you have to kind of go back and pick up some of the crumbs on the trail and let the witnesses be aware of it so they can see why so many people left the Watchtower. And that's one of the reasons a lot of this stuff was being unveiled since the advent of the internet. And then it opened the eyes of many to see exactly what goes on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Well, let's take a look over here. Watchtower is feeling the pressure. Oh, many different things are bothering the active member in the organization. The rank and file organization is becoming weighed down with questioning the Watchtower, questioning the doctrine, questioning the elders, questioning the changes that have been made in the Watchtower recently. Well, what do you think? All Jehovah's Witnesses are happy with all of this? Would you be? I mean, let's just try to use an illustration. Suppose you're in a company and you've been there for many, many years, And there were certain principles and policies that company stayed within the boundaries on. And now all of a sudden that company's changing everything. Wouldn't you be a little concerned? Well, that's exactly what's going on in the Jehovah's Witness religion. It's concerning, excuse me, it's concerning many Jehovah's Witnesses. And you say, well, what are some of the things that are really getting the witnesses secretly talking? You know, there's many Jehovah's Witnesses meetings kind of like secretively discussing these things. They're going out to restaurants, they're meeting in private homes, and they're discussing all of these changes in the Watchtower. Uh, Probably the biggest change, and there's numerous changes. We can get into all of them, but the one I'm thinking really is the one that really is bothering, I mean, tormenting many Jehovah's Witnesses right now is the delayed Armageddon and the changing of doctrines. That seems to be the culprit. That seems to be the nucleus of what the problems are in the minds of many Jehovah's Witnesses. It has to do with, the judgment message. I mean, maybe just give you a little rundown on what took place there. At one point, they were saying, watch out, this is a big change in doctrines, friend. This happened within the last year, I think they'll say the last 6 months. The judgment message. Well, when we were all active Jehovah's Witnesses, we were told that if we didn't accept Jehovah and get baptized and come into his arrangement prior to the tribulation, that's it. The doors would be locked. Very much like Noah back in Genesis 6, when the doors closed to the ark, that was it. Nobody got in. Well, the Watchtower, they changed that judgment message. They now say that even during the tribulation, if you want to come back to Jehovah, he'll accept you. So that's one of the things that really is rocking the boat of the witness world. And of course, the delayed Armageddon. And you know what that's all about. We discuss that almost every week. But in the November issue, once again, of 2025 Watchtower study article, they were talking about Armageddon may not come in our lifetime. Oh, that's a shock, right? So that's what's really causing the monumental issues in the Watchtower. And then even the 2025 regional conventions, and even they had some international conventions. And many of the Jehovah's Witnesses are saying they were just so boring and so repetitive. And they're actually speaking out loud on this. They're not even silently saying it like they did before. Like I said, the witnesses are getting away with murder these days. But many thought those conventions were totally boring and repetitive. And so many of the Jehovah's Witnesses are even thinking, oh, boy, what's going on with the organization? What's going on with our governing body? Are they running out of material to discuss? They keep playing the same stuff over and over again. So Jehovah's Witnesses know, many know, that the governing body is struggling to hold the organization together. Yes, that's exactly what many Jehovah's Witnesses feel. And, they've been in the last days. If you've been a Jehovah's Witness for many years, how long have you been in the last days? Well, they've lasted for more than a century. In concepts like the overlapping generation, well, they proved that, right? And I mean, people could see through that when they changed all the meaning of the generation and kept moving the goalpost. So now the overlapping generation is a joke. And, they tried to get the brothers and sisters to believe it, but they wouldn't. So, brothers and sisters, even elders, and I wanted to bring this up tonight. There's so much complaining going on in the Jehovah's Witness world these days that elders, brothers and sisters in their mid to late 50s, they're complaining about never putting money away into a pension. And they're now discussing the thoughts of what are they going to do. Yeah, did you know that? See, this is something, friends, I want to share this with you. This is information I have that comes into the 6 screens. There's brothers and sisters that are actually wondering now, were they thrown a curve? Was it a scam? Don't put any money into a pension. Don't get a good career. Don't move along in life because Jehovah's movement in his kingdom is so much more important. And now they're discussing, many of them, what am I going to do? I got no money. Well, what am I going to do? How am I going to retire? They're getting older. So the governing body knows that the younger generations, those in their teens and early 20s, they're not going to grow up being Jehovah's Witnesses. Who are the next elders going to be? Who are the pioneers going to be? And I have to tell you, there's nobody to replace. There's nobody to replace the current baby boomer Jehovah's Witnesses and the Gen X Jehovah's Witnesses. There's a feeling in all of the congregations. I mean, I'm going to say all of them. No, not just some, but there's got to be this feeling in all the congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses that Armageddon should have been here by now. This is a huge factor in the decrease we see in the ministry, in the increase in people using Zoom, the meeting platform. They're not even going to the meeting in person. They're just on Zoom. And you know how that works. Put it on Zoom and go about your business. Forget about it. So it's safe to say the organization is a downward trajectory. And it's safe to say that. I'm not looking through rose-colored glasses here. I think you'll all agree with me as well. So what do you think about that, huh? Go ahead. You with me?
Hey, Rick,
Yeah.
this is Donald here.
Yeah.
I was thinking, that Armageddon thing, first of all, they misinterpret that whole Armageddon thing to begin with, because in your Bible, Armageddon's only mentioned once, and it's not a worldwide destruction campaign. Armageddon is a battle fought in a specific place. So it's not what they think of as a worldwide destruction campaign. It's a battle fought in a specific place. And if I remember right, I think God actually prevents that battle from actually happening, because when they gather to start it, God destroys, I think, all of them that are about to fight that battle. So it's a battle. It's not a worldwide destruction campaign. And not only that, but all this end of the world stuff, everybody that's predicted the end of the world, everybody from Harold Camping to who knows else who has predicted the end of the world, every one of them has been totally wrong. Nobody knows when the world's going to end. Watchtower doesn't know. Jesus even stated, nobody knows, not even the Son. So if Jesus didn't know, how in the world does Watchtower think they know when Jesus didn't know when he was on the earth? Now, of course, Jesus knows now, but there again, no human knows when the world's going to end. It's impossible.
Well, you're right, Donald. In fact, you bring up the name Harold Camping. We had him on the 6 Grains. I believe he was on twice. But I'll tell you what, he came on. I know he was on about years ago. We've been going now here for many years. So it was about 15 years ago we had Harold on. And he came on the 6 Grains. And, of course, he was very, very emphatic that the world was going to end, very much like the Watchtower. And, kind of even haughty from what I can remember him as being. And, of course, the end was going to come. And the end was going to come. But it never came. And it made him look foolish, obviously. But you know what? That it works. This is how Russell got his followers. This is how William Miller got his followers. Just tell the people the end. Yeah.
Just recently, all the rapture predictions, you've seen all that, right?
Oh, yeah.
All the rapture that happened just recently, all that crap going on. I mean, everybody say, oh, God's going to come back by this date, by whatever. And it was just like, okay, here we go. More Watchtower kind of stuff coming up.
Well, Donald, the thing is, people want to hear it. People want to hear, as from the eons of time, as long as man has been on the planet, they have always discussed, is it coming to an end? Is it coming to an end? Someday it will. Someday it will. Now, there are some things, in fact, I was just discussing this with my wife this week. There are some things, because a lot of people, they'll ask me, they even write me, I get a lot, that people will say, Rick, do you think that we are in the last days? I don't like to really stick my neck out. There's certain things that I'm looking for. I mean, I can't tell you for sure. Nobody really can, like you say, Donald. But there's something that came up this week that really got me thinking. Now, you guys have all been noticing gold and silver went parabolic. I mean, it went to the moon. Silver prices went up like over $100. At one point, they got up to $120 an ounce. Now, nobody would ever think that. Gold got up to $5,500 an ounce. It went. The term is parabolic. But the reason why I bring that up is because the fact that that could. So we start looking some scriptures up. Susan, my wife, looked some scriptures up, and that was one of the signs. If you get into AI, now I'm not going to say AI is going to tell you everything about the end, but it does say the Bible says that in the end, and I never really put two and two together here. It said that in the end, people would be hoarding silver and gold, and that's exactly what they've been doing. That's why this silver and gold prices went to the moon. But that's something that they're doing. And another thing I got thinking too, there's something, I'm not trying to put myself in God's position, but what really would tick God off? If you were the creator of the universe, the one who created all things, what would tick God off? And I'll tell you my own thinking on this. Don't take it to the bank and cash it, just my thoughts. But I would think a lot of it has to do with mankind becoming too smart for his britches. This AI is helping man become so smart. Man can now make weather. Man can make little stem cells. They can make little hands. They can make certain body parts from basically cloning and all of this stem cell research stuff. So you've now got man so smart, they're figuring out the very complexities of how we got here in the first place. And in fact, even this week, there was an article about science, and I think most people saw it, and how science now is really actually supporting the idea that this was all created. So AI is really making man very, very intelligent, and this is something I'm sure God is looking at. I think that could be a sign of the end. Don, what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, because we don't know when the end's going to be. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with us getting intelligent or becoming more intelligent. I think a lot of stuff is gifts from God, but we're not have to use it. Because God gave us the gifts to create things. I'm always amazed at what humans are able to do, but I have to realize that God gave mankind the ability to do that. But it's what we do with it that's going to make the difference. Are we going to use it for good, or are we going to use it for evil? And if we use AI for good, then that's good. But if we use it for evil, then that would not be good at all. Of course, all of our technology is being used for evil or good. And it's like, when I think about the JWs again, them saying, well, you shouldn't celebrate birthdays because they're evil, no holidays are evil. But I'd like to ask the Jehovah's Witness this. What about your car? Now, they're going to say, well, cars aren't evil. And I say, yeah, you're right. They're not evil. But cars are being used for evil purposes. So should you drive a car to the Kingdom Hall because other people are using them for bad things? I mean, we shouldn't fly in planes either, if you want to look at it that way.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right with that. You're right with that, Donald. You're right on. Hey, listen, we got to get to more people. We've got a bunch of people want to call in, but stay with us now. Stay with us. Let's go to Susan. Susan, come on. You're with us.
Well, I was thinking the thing that would turn me against the Watchtower the most, of course, was 1975 that you were around and you got involved in that. But this Watchtower about you won't see the end in your lifetime, I think it's as big as 1975. That's like the Watchtower giving up, just really, because it's been so time oriented, and now it's just saying, oh, well, we just don't know, so forget it. So I think that's a big deal. I think the Watchtower saying that it won't be in your lifetime is big.
Well, Susan,
They've never done that before.
No.
They've never done that before, ever.
No, it's something to think about. Thank you, Susan, for sharing that. That's very important. Let's go to Dick. Let's go to Dick. Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. I'd like the world to know that the Euphrates River has dried up, and that's in the Book of Revelation that was going to happen in the end times. So I have a feeling that we're close. we're close. Just my opinion. Thank you.
All right, Dick. Yeah, no, that's interesting. How about anyone else out there? Want to share your thoughts?
Hello, Rick.
Yes, go ahead. You're on with us. Go ahead.
Rick, hi, Donnie here.
Hi, Donnie.
Hi, Rick. Yeah, just following on from what Susan said. Yeah, I mean, I wonder what the message is now. I mean, do they go around saying, well, you remember when Jehovah's Witnesses knocked on your door year in, year out for decades, and you told us that the paradise would not come in your lifetime? You know, well, I'm here to say you're right. The paradise is not going to come in your lifetime. So I'm just wondering, Rick, you know, what have they got nothing to sell now, have they?
Yeah, it's hey, I'm wondering the same thing, Donnie. It's like Susan just said. That's almost like an admission of guilt. You know, they're not coming out and saying we made a mistake, but it's almost like you are saying that. I mean, how many times have they said it was coming in our lifetime? Come on, somebody's got to take the hit on this. You just can't make a statement like that and walk away from it. It's not going to go over good. It's going to go over like a lead balloon. You know.
It's a bit of a head scratcher, isn't it? What they're actually, how they're encouraging people to come into the truth. I mean, you know. Oh, okay, that's it really. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Donnie. Always good to hear from Donnie. And I know it's late over there. And thank you for staying up and sharing some time here on the 6 Screens with us, Donnie. Appreciate that.
That's okay.
All right.
All right.
Oh, good. So, any other thoughts on this? I mean, does anyone out there have their own predictions? We don't want to get into too much theology here tonight, but what do you think? You think we're on the end? Is the Watchtower getting close? I mean, they have a bend in it. They're saying now it's not coming in our lifetime, but hey, we're seeing things that, well, I had just this week a number of people ask me about. Is this the end? I don't know, but I do know one thing. Someday it does have to end. But it's just amazing to me when I see taking place in the Watchtower. Who else would want to speak?
Did you see the Jesus movie yet?
No, how is it?
Well, Elaine had a review of it, and she made some interesting points about where are they going with Jehovah versus Jesus. And the path of the ministry, and are they going to be Trinitarians or not? It's so complex, but her review of it is good, but I got a kick out of it. I got a real belly laugh out of it. They've got a Jesus with a very good profile. He's a handsome man, but he's got perfect hair. And then he's got apostles that are Australians, and they're all white. So it doesn't look like the Middle East at all. These popular films by Martin Scorsese or Zaffarelli that did Romeo and Juliet, some of these are on television at Easter time. The Gladiator with Russell Crowe, they try to depict the first century accurately. They have a lot of Middle Eastern looking people and Roman and Greek looking people. The people in the Jesus Witness movie are as white as I am. There's no diversity there at all. And I just laughed until I cried because they should know better.
Well, you know, really show. Hold on, Donald. Yeah, really shows. Hold on, Donald. Let me speak here, Pixie. Yeah, what I'm thinking here, Pixie, is you know, the Watchtower is spending all this money, but you know, even the movie companies, the Warner Brothers, the Paramounts, the Netflix, you know, when they produce a movie, they try to get the surroundings, everything right. They try to make it all right, so there's no question. But to see all white men portrayed as the apostles or disciples, that's not right. That's wrong. It's wrong. It's
It was comical. It was really comical because, you know, the one thing the witnesses had right was all nations. They had that correct. And then for them to do this movie in Australia, it's kind of sad that they didn't get it right, that they really didn't. And as I say, there's a review of, you know, what is the movie actually saying?
yeah.
To me, it looks like Jesus and John are like they're cousins, but they're gym buddies. I mean, there's no mystical thing of Jesus being special at all in it.
Yeah, it looks like he just came out of a barber shop. Go ahead, Donald.
What parts of that movie it on YouTube. I've noticed that movies like that seem to be it's just like just a replaying of just scripture. I mean, most of the Bible movies that I've seen over the years have all just been movie versions of, scripture basically. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but it's like there's no real depth in them. There's no real life experience with these movies. It's more like they're just repeating scripture. They're dressed up in they're dressed up in costumes and they got scenery, but they're just basically repeating scripture. And
well, that's what they should do. The Zaffarelli one is especially all Bible, and it's very difficult to make a film. And the Ten Commandments is a great film. And
I know, like the one that they're doing now, the Chosen. Have y'all seen that one?
That didn't strike me, but a lot of people do like it.
Yeah, it's the story of Jesus. It's also the story of the disciples. But what's cool about that is, even though it mentions scripture in the movie, it's not just scripture in the movie. They try to picture their lives the way these people actually lived back then. So they put Jesus in situations. Okay, he didn't say everything in the movie wasn't scripture, but they tried to put Jesus in a position that's more down to earth, like us, the way he would have probably lived, in his day back then.
I like to see the plates be accurate. I like the Mel Gibson movie. I won't say I liked it; it was accurate.
Oh, Passion of the Christ.
Yeah, so violent.
Yeah,
and he's going to do a resurrection one next. Mel Gibson is, and I will see that.
Well, we all talked with Pixie. We all talked a month or so ago about that Jesus movie. While he was still filming it, and it was a suicide. Remember that? There was a suicide on the set, and it was a Jehovah's Witness man that was from America that they flew him over to Australia to help film. He was actually, from what I understand, playing Judas. And now, I don't know all the details to it, but it did come out, and I got information coming to 6 screens that it really was a tough role to play. If I was going to have to play a disciple, an apostle of Jesus, I'd like to play maybe John or maybe someone like Peter, but not Judas. It's but it really, from what I understand it. Now, I'm not saying that's what caused the suicide. Who knows? But some said it was mentally disturbing for him and created large amounts of anxiety. So who knows, right? But boy, it was terrible. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, anyways, thank you, Donald. Thank you, Pixie.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
Hello, Rick.
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
Hi, it's Maverick here.
Hi, Maverick.
Hi. Just picking up on the Harold Camping you mentioned just now. Did you know that Watchtower actually commented about Harold Camping in a May the 1st Watchtower article, 2014? They actually had an article saying, "Can anyone see the future?" And he was using Harold Camping as an example of a false prophet.
I know. In fact, I do remember that. You're absolutely right. I thought it was so hypocritical,
It's insane. Talk about pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah. Well, he was so willing to come on the 6 screens. He came on with no problem at all. We heard about him saying this, and it kind of was reminiscent of what the Watchtower has always done, naming a date. And he was quite adamant. In fact, I can remember even seeing billboards up, with him on it, him telling people on billboards in major cities that, the end is coming. I forget what year it was.
Rick,
Yeah.
I do remember you having him on.
You do,
and, I remember real well. He was on around 2012.
2012, yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And he also stepped back in
don't go there,
94.
Watchtower. Don't go there. Why are you highlighting your own hypocritical stance? Harold made one prediction, maybe. How many predictions has Watchtower made over the last 100 and something years? Why are you going there?
In fact, that game is over. Really, hold on, Donald. That game is over. No one's going to get away with these predictions anymore. That's old hat now. Now, no one's going to go along with that. People have said this so many times that nobody believes anybody anymore. Really, not just the witnesses, but Harold Camping. All of these people have come out and said these things. They lose credibility. Yeah.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick. This is Gilbert, and I'd like to take a crack at are we living in the end?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say a definitive yes. But here's the thing, and I've said this to you so many times, that words mean things. And you have to live by that phrase, that words mean things. And when you go to, for example, Bible Hub, and you read that famous text, the Jehovah's Witnesses perverted because they play with the words. Like in there, it says, and what is the sign of the coming of the consummation of the age? And Watchtower will naturally use a system of things, which is a political term that they inserted. They inserted a political term, and they inserted it as dogma into their Bible. But the point is, to help you understand the consummation of an age, is we can say that Rome still exists today. But the point is that Rome of yesteryear is not the same Rome of today. So we can say that Rome is still here, but it's not the same Rome as the past. So are we going to have an end? Yes, it's called the consummation of an age. That's what the Bible Hub will tell you. Now, does that mean Jesus is going to return? No, but hallelujah if he does. But this I'm going to sum it up with this. What is happening right now and what you saw on Friday with gold and silver is you saw something impossible that would never happen. Gold, silver, copper, palladium, and platinum dropped over silver over 40% in one day. And never has this happened where every metal dropped to the floor. The reason why is because all of these banks were shorting these metals. And you just so happen that Saturday morning when the report comes out, that JP Morgan, the biggest theft of silver in the silver market, who has on record paid over $1 billion in fines to the government for their manipulation, just pulled off one of the biggest heists to get out of a bad position. Today, many banks in Illinois and others come Monday will be announcing they're bankrupt. But this is the point. When gold, silver, platinum, and palladium and copper and everything else was dropping to low levels, on the other side of the planet, in Shanghai, India, and Russia, they were still selling these metals at the Thursday price because they knew that everything is a lie. So what we have here, Rick, is real simple. We are in the middle of World War III. We are living it, but it's not being fought with nuclear weapons. It's not being fought with bullets. What you have, and Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping have already talked about this, it's called the BRICS. What it is it's saying we are no longer going to live in a world where the King of England, the Rothschilds, the people in New York City are going to tell us, the people who work in the mines, the people who build farms and have chocolate and have coffee beans and have oranges and raise pork bellies. We are not going to have you men who live in these castles in New York City, in London, tell us, the working class, what the price is going to be. We will no longer be living under a feudal system. We are not serfs to the bankers of Europe. And so so Friday was a perfect example where the powers in America and Europe were dropping the price of silver and gold, but yet nobody in China was buying it at the low price. They were buying it at the high price. And everything in New York and everything in London was all paper. It's like me telling you, I'm going to sell you a gallon of milk for 99 cents, but I just gave you a piece of paper. I gave you no milk. So what we're witnessing here is we are in the end, and we're in a fight. Either we're going to continue living under a colonial British type rule where these bankers tell you, the farmer, what we're going to pay for that wheat, or what we're going to pay for your beef. Or the BRIC system is now into play. And they're saying, no, we want a new system. And it's the most fascinating part of it all. I find this fascinating, is every financial pundit is using the phrase, the new system is here. We're coming into a new system. And yet Watchtower has abandoned the very terminology that they have been preaching. Watchtower has the new world on their Bible, and yet now that the new world is here, the old world is dying, and we're going to enter a new world. And is it going to be governed with crypto? Is it going to be governed with, we don't know. But we do know that the old system of trillions upon trillions of dollars of debt is coming to an end. And every nation is positioning as to what side they're going to be on. Who's going to control the new system? Well, Donald Trump said, he who has the gold makes the rules. This is why when they took Maduro out of Venezuela a couple of hours before he was captured, the Russians and the Chinese had already taken off with their B-52 type bombers filled with gold and silver. So there's something happening right now. Nobody knows exactly what it is, but we are in a transition. And that's why I say words mean things. In the Bible, in Matthew 24, it's called a consummation of the age. And you can actually say that in 1776, there was an end of a consummation of an age, the age of the British Empire on the colonies, and a new age began, and so forth. And right now we're experiencing the same thing. In America, there was a civil war, and then there was a new age after the Civil War, the Industrial Revolution. So we are privileged to witness the greatest transfer of wealth or power in the world to the common worker, or we will be slaves forever to the powers of Europe, the kings of Europe, the bankers of New York. And that's where we're at right now. And everybody feels it. Everyone sees it in their money. Everybody knows the money is fake. Everybody knows the promises. Everybody knows that everyone in Washington, D.C. is guilty and that they're on the take, the financial take. And we all know that George Washington said that the last official act of a corrupt government is the raiding of the Treasury. And all you hear is the California, billions of dollars of waste in the train, all of the billions of dollars that are being funneled through Minnesota, the trillions of dollars of waste in Washington, D.C. Nothing gets done about it. And that's the sign that we are about to enter something different.
Well, Gilbert, I mean, people will agree with you, and I will. I mean, I look at the economy now that we're living in right now. I use the term schizophrenic. It's a schizophrenic. It's just there's no telling what's going on, and not only that, people are falling through the cracks. There's such a wide gap between people who have a few bucks and people that are just falling through the cracks big time. I see it up here in Massachusetts. I see it with people that are working with me. Homeless, 3 of them, 4 of them are homeless people. They're working poor. They go to work. Some of them have 2 jobs and they still can't keep up with the expenses. That's something wrong with that. It really, really is. So something's got the playing field's got to be equaled, Gilbert, obviously.
Yes. And so that is the end. We will have an end of some of the old system and something new's coming. We don't know. I don't know what it is, but we know that the end is here because the system can't continue this way. It just can't. And this is why they say all wars are bankers' wars. Nobody hates Russia. Europe doesn't hate Russia. They need Russia's oil. They need Russia's gold, silver. They need the land. They need everything because Europe is bankrupt.
Yeah.
They need war. And all wars are bankers' wars. And the people are just sick and tired of wars because we don't hate Russians. We don't hate the Chinese. We hate corruption. And I think that's so I say, Rick, the answer is yes. I hope everybody was taking notes. There will be a question and answer the following week on this subject, okay?
All right. Well,
My only question is I want the FDIC to protect the little 10 cents I have in my bank.
Well, Pixie, in fact, that's another thing I think of is, currency. When you have a country that currently is $38 trillion in debt. Now, I mean, would you really trust paper. It says in God we trust. I mean, I'm not telling you, throw your money in the street here, but it could come to that.
Well, I don't necessarily trust the paper over the hard coin, but I do have some paper in that bank, and if I have 10 cents in the bank, I'm hoping FDIC supports and protects my 10 cents. And I would hate to see a bank closure where the next day I only have 5 cents.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's going to happen right away, but no, it's don't go make any changes. I mean, don't go take any money out of the bank or anything. People have, 10 years ago, people, in fact, conspiratorialism was really big then. It's kind of waning away. You don't hear much about the Great Reset. You don't hear much about, the
Great Reset was on paper. It's not a conspiracy. It's the book that was printed by the World Economic Forum.
Yeah, well, I mean, people were scaring everybody to death. I can remember. In fact, it was a good 10 years ago, and I was going to go down to the Stanley Theater in New Jersey. We were going to have a protest outside the convention center. And I got the hotel room, and I had people all going to meet us there, including Johnny the Bethelite that we got to know. And we were all set to go down to the Stanley Theater. And I had a woman, she used to call up all the time. She's really a conspiratorial woman. And she was saying, Rick, don't you dare go down to New Jersey this weekend. Oh, it's gonna be terrible. There's gonna be an attack. You won't get home alive. She had me kind of scared, but it wasn't any attack or anything. What did happen though? I couldn't go because of hurricane. It wasn't a hurricane, but they call it Storm Sandy, and so it was raining like crazy, and they closed the convention for the weekend. But all of these things, people made some bad ideas based on what some of these people were saying. I mean, we used to have Reese come on the program, and he used to talk about all this stuff, and you better start hoarding food. I went out and, geez, I must have bought $300 worth of canned food and corn and string beans and rice and everything you could think of that would be preserved during some type of a food shortage. But that never happened.
I'm glad I did, because I used that this week.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get grocery delivery, so I've used my things that I had stored. I'm glad I had it.
Well, you're right. I've been storing it up too. In fact, it was a man on the business news, Pixie. I think of this so much. And it was one day he came on the business news in the morning, CNBC, and he says, now I'm going to tell you really, now this had to be a good 10 years ago. He said, I'm going to tell you what you really have to invest in. He says, forget silver, forget gold. He says, invest in canned vegetables. Invest in canned vegetables. I mean, he says, this could be worth its weight in gold. I mean, it's never come to that, but I got thinking, even Elon Musk, with all this turmoil in the markets this week, and him being the richest man on the planet, if he was in the middle of the desert, thirsting to death, and someone came up to Elon and said, hey, Elon, I'll tell you what, you give me all your money, and I'll give you this nice cold glass of water. You'd give it up. You'd give it up to save your life. Yeah. So, it's
cans together in the crock pot, and you'll have a wonderful soup.
Yeah, I heard you made some beef stew. How do you make your beef stew?
Oh, well, my steak was in that beef stew because I had three porterhouse steaks that I got for $15 back when steak was cheap.
Yeah.
And so I thought in the freezer, and I thought, well, that's going in the crock pot. And it had a bag of frozen carrots and a can of carrots. And it was delightful. I didn't put the Celtic potatoes and celery because I didn't have them. But that beef stew with double carrots was really good.
Well, I'll tell you something. I love beef stew. And I'll tell you, Pixie, I tried to make it even after my first wife died. I lived alone for a while. I love beef stew. So I tried to make some a couple of times. And boy, it came out lousy. I mean, really. I mean, I'm saying.
I'll teach you to do it. I'll teach you how to.
Well, Susan. Well, my second beautiful wife is she taught me how to do it. And what I was missing is bouillon, beef bouillon.
Yeah, okay.
And
we always just use a really good cut of meat, and I get it already cut up for me usually. And you want to have your pepper and your salt in there, and you want to have a bay leaf. And then to thicken it, you want to take cornstarch and water in equal portions in a jar, shake it up, and pour that in there, and it will thicken your gravy perfectly.
Well, thank you for saying that. That's Susan. In fact, I said, Susan, I'll make this. She's helping me, but I forgot to put the flour in there. That she said that can make all the difference in the world. Yeah.
Use your cornstarch and water and shake it up, and you won't have any lumps that your flour could have.
Well, there you go. There's nothing like on a cold, wintry day. There's nothing like, I'll tell you what. In fact, it's so therapeutic. You take some of that beef stew and you just sip that down. It just warms your whole inside. Really, it feels good. It's really, really good for you.
Good for you.
Well, thank
If
you.
you want to take it from the Scottish version to the Hungarian version, you can put paprika in it and a little bit of tomato.
Yeah, I'm going
So
to pass
Pixie,
on
what
that.
time are we all coming over?
Yeah.
Y'all come. Y'all come.
It's yeah. Well, let's go to the King and Dots. Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, actually, the dumping of gold and silver wasn't a dumping, a devaluing. The dollar rose the most it's done in a year. The dollar was a weak dollar, and so all the commodities were running up. In fact, oil has gone up at least $10 in the last 2 weeks. So that should bring the commodity prices down. So, it's just currency fluctuation, currency wars, because China always floats its currency. I do believe that's what the U.S. is doing. It's floating its currency down. So we can see a lot of fluctuation. I wanted to give you a true story today. I woke up, watched the news. My wife and my daughter, they work for Crossroads non-denominational church. So there's a story. So-and-so fired from Crossroads, arrested for sexual misconduct. And she knew before I did. They actually did a group text to everybody involved with Crossroads to tell them. And my wife says, why can't Watchtower do that? That's exactly what she said.
Isn't that something? Man?
And yeah, I felt the same thing. Why do they have to be the way they are? All you have to do is admit it. Turn them over to the police. Let the police handle it and tell everybody what's going on. No, you got to hide everything and lose $100 million. Is that smart? Who wants to be in a religion that's that dumb? I feel stupid just thinking about it. One more quick story. My best non-witness friend I've known since 1988. He died Sunday. I didn't know about. His older brother went through his phone log and started calling people, and he said he didn't have the names of people. Got me, and so we got to talking about him. Tom, he's going to have a military funeral on Thursday, and his older brother's 78, lives 9 miles from me, lives a couple of miles from a Kingdom Hall. He's never heard of Jehovah's Witnesses. He's 78 years old. Never heard of them. What is going on? I keep running into these situations. Is it because we highlighted the Watchtower and Awake, and that's all I saw were those 2 words? I didn't see the Jehovah's Kingdom thing. It's really befuddling to me, but I felt like I wasted all that time and no one's ever heard of us. By the way, me and my wife went to see the Melania movie, which they just now said was the biggest opening day for a documentary in the history of movies. $8 million first day. There were 50 people there, all of them over the age of 50, and they clapped twice towards the end of the movie. It started out a little slow, but it was so incredible just to see what is going on in that administration. They want to get this country straightened out. Whether they can do it or not, I don't know. I don't think so. But I would suggest to everybody, you'll love the movie and you'll understand they want a great country, not a dumpster fire.
Well, thank you.
That's all I got to say.
Oh, well,
Rick.
that's a lot to say. Thank you for endorsing that movie. I didn't know what it was all about, but it does deal with the inner workings of what Trump's trying to do, huh? Good. Excellent.
There's enough of it involved there. I don't want to give away.
Yeah.
Anyway, All I
Good.
can say is it's just if you have any ounce of love for this country, for what it's trying to represent, Trump is trying to make that happen, not let it go back to this disintegrating empire that pretty much embraces all the bad press that it's taking. They don't want to be Turtle Island fodder, which are all these protesters. You know, the Turtle Island cult. You know, North American Indians called North America Turtle Island. They all want, they've seen it online, all these people protesting. They want to give North America back to the Indians, and they want Europeans out. Of course, that's a ridiculous concept. And it's happening in other countries too. They want to get rid of, I hate to say it, they want to get rid of a particular race. And it doesn't have a lot of melatonin. And I can understand you want to blame all the world's problems on Caucasian race. I see it in history. We took over everybody. We plundered their spices and their gold and their silver. I'm not going to say that didn't happen, but guess what? Turtle Island will never happen again either. Kim, and thank you, Gilbert, for provoking a lot of thought on my part.
Well, no doubt he got
Thank you, Rick.
he got some deep thoughts there coming out. Thank you, King of Dots. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
You're a good man. Don't you ever change. All right, that's King of Dots out there in Ohio. Well, he thinks highly of the Melania movie, right? I see it coming in traction for that today on the TV. I was wondering what's that all about, but I might have to go see that movie. Well, anyways, I'll tell you, what's going to happen in February? I'm going to tell you something really big is going to happen in the world of the Watchtower in February. Let's take a look at it. We know in Norway, I'm not going to beat Norway here to death tonight, but it is coming up this month that the Supreme Court in Norway is going to have to settle the issue of whether they're going to keep paying Jehovah's Witnesses their money for having a religion in Norway, or whether they're going to say, that's it, Watchtower. But I'm beginning to think, friends, this could go either way. I mean, as much as I want to see it lean in favor of Norway and not allow the witnesses to have a regular organized religion there, but it might go two ways. And even going through the court case and coming up with some information, I'm not going to get into the real specifics of it because there's a lot there. But the Supreme Court is going to make this decision this month. I forget when it is. I think it's next week someday. I forget the day. But anyways, a lawyer for the Watchtower, his name is Jordan Pedersen, and he works at the Scandinavian Office of Jehovah's Witnesses, the Bethel branch over there. And this is his premise. This is what he's tooting his horn about to the country of Norway and to all of the religions in Norway, scaring them all to death. So he's basically saying, this Watchtower lawyer, that all religions should concern themselves with what's going on with the practice of their faith without state interference. So this lawyer for the Watchtower is saying, look at Norway. This could set a precedent. You're going to have to really allow freedom of religion. And he's saying that the doctrine of disfellowshipping or shunning, all of the bad thoughts that come from it and the bad actions, that, that's their right, so to speak, as a freedom. So he's saying if that's really challenged, then all other religions could be challenged too. And there could be so much uncertainty for other religious communities in the state or the country of Norway. So that's coming up. Well, we'll have to see it. Now, if someone wants to watch it live, I know there's been a lot of comments about it, and whether you can see it or not, only time will tell. They're trying to do it live. That is the JW Avoid website. They have information on there. If you go to JW Avoid website, you may be able to see this Supreme Court hearing in Norway live. So by all means, check that.
That's very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Norway has one of the oldest legal systems in the world.
Yeah, in fact, I've heard that. Yeah.
their legal system predates like England, France, Germany. They know what they're doing. They've been writing laws for a long time. So it's going to be fascinating.
Well, there's two sides, and that's what's really concerning me here, Pixie, is because there are some in the position of government in Norway that really despise the Watchtower. They don't have a good feeling for them at all. And then there's another faction in the Norwegian government that is saying, well, wait a minute, that is we have to have freedom of religion, and we start coming down on Jehovah's Witnesses, that could mean trouble for other religions. So it's going to be quite interesting. But
I could be wrong, but the way I see it, it's freedom of religion versus human rights. So I think the side of the Norway government is going to have an argument about basic human rights versus freedom of religion, and how far can that go? Because what I read so far, these children that are shunned have a right to leave. They've got an idea called the right to leave, that you can leave a religion if you want to. You have that as a human right. And other groups shun. In ancient history, the Vikings were the ones kicked out of the tribe, and they got on boats. So Norway understands about shunning and getting kicked out of a tribe and things. I think if I was a betting person, I would go that the state of Norway, that the state government of the country of Norway will probably win this one, but we'll have to see.
Well, let's see what happens. And now I want to bring up something. Unless someone else want to say something. If not, we're going to move to the next thought here. This came across my mind today. I got thinking. I never brought this up before on the Six Screens JW World News, but I'm going to bring it up tonight because I'm thinking that this is now taking place in many Jehovah's Witness congregations. And, we talk about here all the time about Jehovah's Witnesses not planning for the future. Okay. A lot of us, many of Jehovah's Witnesses didn't go out and want to further the education. They didn't want to further their career. They just wanted to stay in a stagnant job that didn't pay much money. They never wanted to really get involved in business because the end was coming. And whatever the feelings are among the witness world, many of the Jehovah's Witnesses did not plan for the future. That's a fact. We know it. We know many Jehovah's Witnesses that have really suffered because of that. Many that even listen into the Six Screens. But the reason, the reason why I bring this up is another facet or another side to this story. Now, I got information from, excuse me for coughing, but I got information from a man that he's a PMO Jehovah's Witness. He's a young man, in his 20s, and he's living with his mother and father that have been staunch Jehovah's Witnesses for many, many years. So, in fact, for over 50 years. So he's still in his 20s, living with mom and dad, witness mother and father. So his mom and dad are kind of getting sick. They had no money at all. They never saved. They never got involved in insurance policies or anything like that because of what the Watchtower was telling them. So now they're broke, and he's living with them, and they're sick. They need a lot of care. So the young man, who's a PMO witness, he doesn't want to say too much, but he now is taking really a lot of time and effort to take care of his parents. And it's really hurting him. He wants to do it. He loves his parents, but at the same time, he's thinking that they really brought it upon themselves. And he wants to go out. He wants to start a family. He wants to go out and get a good job, but he's kind of locked in now to helping his parents. So after reviewing what he said to me, I'm thinking, my goodness gracious, how many other witness children are in the same position? How many really are being held back financially, economically, from good jobs, good position in life, getting married, because they're now taking care of their older parents that were encouraged by the Watchtower never to invest, to do anything, to further their lifestyle. And now all of a sudden the people are stone cold broke. So now we got these children and they are so sick of the Watchtower. Even this man was saying that he's so sick of what the Watchtower did to his parents. And now the adverse effects of what they did to his parents is now falling on him. And he's putting a real bind. He's putting a real bind, listeners. So how much is...
There's about 1 million caregivers, whether they're witnesses or not. Caregiving can bring down the caregiver too.
Well, that's exactly what was happening to this young man, Pixie. He was just getting overwhelmed by it, and he wants to go. He's just young. He's in his early 20s. So he wants to go out and be able to, get married, have children of his own, pursue a good career. But he loves his mother and father. And boy, he didn't have anything good to say about the Watchtower. I'll tell you that. And just think of all the, we sometimes just think of all the people they hurt, like the parents they hurt. But what about the caregivers now? Yeah.
If you're talking to him, Virginia did not have it when I was doing caregiving. They had it, then they didn't have it, now they have it again. It varies state to state. Some states have a program where they will pay a salary to the caregiver. They will train them and pay them a yearly salary. And it depends on the state. So have him get with the state social services to see what's available in what's called elder care. And like they'll have a council on aging in his town, or his state will have this council of aging, or social services for the aged. He needs to look at all that and see what programs are available and if he can be a paid caregiver for his own family.
Yeah, no, I'll let him know because he didn't want to really give his state. Some people still are schizo about that. He's still...
Let him know that some states have this paid program.
Check it out. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here you have, the Watchtower not only affecting loyal witnesses that are now feeling the real pinch of financial difficulty, but you also have these young ones who are, living with mom and dad. And then I got thinking too, you know what really drives me nuts? Because I've had people call into this program numerous times and with similar stories that, they're the one that's kind of doubting the Watchtower. They're the ones that are kind of leaving the Watchtower, but they have a real love for their parents. And so they want to take care of them. But on the other hand, I got thinking, maybe I didn't really discuss it with this guy at all, but I'm just thinking in terms of, I've had people call into the program that were in the same situation. They're taking care of the loyal Jehovah's Witness parents and their older or other siblings. They're still pioneering, or they're elders, and they're not wanting to do a thing. These are the ones that should be reaching out to help their parents, as the witnesses themselves. But they're more concerned about going out and finding more cult recruits than taking care of their own parents. So I thought that was, it really bothered me a little bit when I heard about this, because there's repercussions. This organization, when you say touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower, it doesn't have to mean you were actually a witness. You can be a non-witness and be touched by the tentacles. Who wants to speak up? Go ahead. You with me? All right. Did someone want to speak up? All right. I guess not. But I get thinking that...
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. You with me? Yep.
Hey, Rick. This is Keith from California. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Keith.
Yeah, no, you're making such good points. I wanted to say thank you for your show and all the healing that you facilitate with, giving people a place to talk. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And, yes, sir. It's just a real blessing. I don't think, like you're saying, I don't think they're aware of the repercussions of their actions. And so many families, I don't even know how many families can't talk to each other because these men pretend they speak for God. And so many people just have to suffer because of them. And then this whole idea that they don't need to apologize and all that, so hypocritical. But, it's been a real journey for all of us. And I'm really proud of all the courage of everybody that leaves. And just having this network and then the network of friends that you can have that understand the journey And because of people like you, Joe and Fran, a lot of other people, I can call someone and they'll pick up the phone and they understand. And just having this place to go to Rick, I don't know how long you've been doing this so long, and I'm so grateful. And yeah, just there's a healing after it. And even if you have been touched by the tentacles, you can go to college, you can, I don't know, live your life and be happy. And that's what I'm doing now, thanks to people like you guys. And I just want to say that. But yeah, we'll see where this goes. I don't think in the age of the internet, these guys don't have much wiggle room anymore. And it will be a different thing to try to deceive people like they used to. They can't deceive people like they used to. So thanks for all you do, Rick.
Well, you're welcome, Keith, and thank you for expressing that. And no doubt. I mean, well, I like the way you put it. There's no more wiggle room. I mean, the internet, as we always say, is the great equalizer. And now AI is even more refined. It really is just kind of, where do you go? Where do you go when you're so scandalous, corrupt, and fraudulent? I mean, where do you go when all the lights are on you? They got you. They got you. And that's where we got the Watchtower right now. We really do. Well, thank you, Keith. Well, folks, I have to tell you, and we're not looking through rose-colored glasses. I say it all the time. And, I said it even years ago. We are counting down the last days of the Watchtower. And there really is. And friends, they're cooked. Take them off the grill. There's so many things we could say about the Watchtower. I say they're dead. They haven't even fallen over yet, but they're dead. They really are. They're grasping for straws. They're looking for new ways to keep the money flowing, to be able to nurture this thing as long as they can. But it's catching up on them. The cavalry is circling their wagon, so to speak. But anyways, we do have a good little network here. We had a lot of new ones calling in. Well, actually dialing in tonight. Maybe not speaking up. A few here and there, but we do have a lot of people. I have computer screens here set up in my little studio, and I can see people dialing in from all over, and a lot of new telephone numbers. And that's good. That shows me something, friends. I've often said we're like the CIA in the ex-witness world. And the reason is, I mean, the Watchtower organization is not going to, share information with an apostate. So we have to gather intelligence, just like the CIA gathers intelligence. So I can just look at when I see a computer screen here, the 6 screens lighting up like crazy, and more people dialing in than I've ever seen. Something's telling me, who are these people? These are people that said, we have had enough. And they're dialing in, they're listening in. And I'll tell you, they're watching us on YouTube and Facebook, and not only the 6 screens, but all of the people out there that are exposing the Watchtower, the Fran and Joes, the Apostle Babes, all of those people, John Ledger, even John Cedars, and all of these people that are exposing the Watchtower. You're my ally, you're my brother, you're my sister. And keep exposing the Watchtower because it's working. Friends, the ex-witnesses, we're getting scores on the scoreboard. So keep up the good work. Well, I want to thank everyone. In fact, before we go, if anyone wants to make any comments, go ahead. Did you want to say something, Susan? Yes. Constance, go ahead.
Yeah, Rick, thank you. I was just going to say, in reference to that young man that was in contact with you in his early 20s, I believe you said he's a PMO and his parents are elderly. Yeah, he's in a real predicament because, his parents didn't really plan for the future. I mean, they thought the new system was going to be here. And the other, my heart goes out to him because, his mind tells him one thing, his heart tells him another. So he's really divided on that. And he sounds like he's also like the only child. So there's a lot of pressure for him to take care of his elderly parents. But the other thing I was going to say is, Rick, you hear these stories of where JWs have a child and the child, say, for example, got disfellowshipped. And then the parents had nothing to do with the child. The child grew up, went his own way, and the parents went their way because, they were Nazi JWs. They believed in shunning. And then the time came when the parents got old and the medical issues started to really start happening. And they had, not planned for the future. So, the medical is a real issue, and they need somebody to take care of them. And you'll hear, I've seen this like on Facebook and Reddit and so forth. And it's where the parents will reach out to the one child who's disfellowship, because God forbid now they need them to take care of them. Maybe it's the mother. Maybe the father died, and maybe the mother's a widow, and excuse me, she needs the son or daughter to take care of them. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, now they make an exception to reach out to the child. And you'll hear the grown adults say, oh yeah, my parent had nothing to do with me for 30 years, but now that they're sick and they're dying and they have nobody, then they reach out to me. And you hear stories about that, Rick, and it's very, very sad, because they felt disowned when the parents had nothing to do with them when they're disfellowship, but now, all of a sudden now it's okay if I reach out to you because I really need you. And people feel really used and abused and angry, very angry about that. Watchtower does a real number of destroying people's lives. I mean,
I wasn't angry about it. I'm glad it went bad. I'm glad it
doesn't even have to happen, It doesn't even have to happen. Watchtower does a number on destroying families, and they need to stay out of people's personal lives. None of this has to happen, Rick, none of it. But that's what this organization has done to so many of our families.
Well, look at your poor husband there, Constance. Look at Dick.
Yeah.
He's living in the same state as his two sons, and they will have nothing to do with him. How evil is that? That sons won't even speak to their father because of the Watchtower. That is despicable. Yeah. And they're going to be held accountable for that, because I'm going to tell you, one of the real accoutrements of life, perhaps the best accoutrement of life, is good family, good friends. That's priceless. And for an organization to come in and to break families up deliberately, and destroy a person's life, that is evil beyond evil.
Right. Yeah, and it's very interesting, Rick, because, you know the story, but maybe the audience doesn't. When we first moved out here, I said to my husband, I said, let's go by and see where your son lives. I'm talking about the second-born, because the firstborn's down in Florida. Yeah, Stephen. So it was a Saturday. We weren't even quite sure if he was a JW or not. And let's see, last time you saw Stephen, he was like about, 17 or 18?
Yeah, I still have the driver's license.
Yeah, he was about 17 or 18. Well, now he's 45, so that's a long time. So anyway, he's only like about 35, maybe 40 minutes at most. So we went out there, and it was a Saturday afternoon, because I was thinking if he was still at JW in the afternoon, he'd be home, right, if he had gone out in service. So anyway, we drove by. Now, keep in mind, his son, both sons have really not had anything to do with him, especially the second-born, Stephen. And how tall was he, Rich, at 17?
About 6'4".
No, when he was 17.
Oh, 17, 5'9".
So he's about 5'9" when he was 17. So anyway, we drove down the street, and I said, I think if I had to make a guess, Rich, I said, I think this would be their home, because it looked so pristine. I mean, the cars were immaculate. The lawn was green. Everything was mowed. It looked like it just stood out, right? It was a very nice neighborhood. Well, anyway, lo and behold, I go down to the end. I was driving, go down to the end of the road. And I'm not going to say the app, but anyway, there's an app you can track anybody down, where they live, their phone number, address, everything. So I pulled it up, and sure enough, I had the address. So I came back up, and this time the garage door was wide open. And I said, oh my God, Rich, there's Stephen. He's in the garage. And anyway, he was like 6'4", and we had a Massachusetts plate, but he was in the garage doing something. And anyway, he had no idea who we were. And I said, do you want me to stop? And Rich says, no, I'm not ready for this, because he was very hostile last time when he was a teenager. But that's what this organization has done to my husband. And I know it's done this to so many other people that are listening in. And we were, I mean, I could have gotten out of the car, okay, literally taken a few steps, and there he was. And I could have introduced myself that, you know, I'm your new stepmother. You don't even know me, but you're Stephen Borghi. But we couldn't because, you know, they're always going to think of my husband as someone disfellowshipped. They don't even think of him as, you know, God forgives people and your sins are washed away like white as snow. Watchtower doesn't even teach the Bible. They just love to punish people for the rest of their life, and they destroy people's families. And we were that close, to seeing Stephen. And Rich said, "Oh my God, look at Stephen." And I said, "I know." And he said, "My God, he's 6'4". I said, "Yeah, he's tall. He's a tall guy." So it's just very sad. And his other son lives in Florida, and he plays this little game. Those are my words. He won't ever pick up the phone and talk to his father, but once in a while he'll send him a text or he'll send him a picture. But God forbid he picks up the phone and says, you know, "Hi, Dad, how are you doing?" Oh, he can't do that. That, you know, violates his conscience or Watchtower's rules. So, you know, until people really wake up and realize, because, you know, what does God say? You need to honor your mother and father. What about that? That's one of the 10 commandments. They never teach that, right? It's always follow Watchtower's rules and regulations. So
well, not only that, but like I keep saying, this is Donald here. It's like I keep saying, they're not following Jesus at all because Jesus showed love. You know, he didn't do this shunning crap that people are doing now.
That's exactly right, Donald. It really is. And, you know, we just really hope that a lot of people who are listening in that are JWs really wake up because, you know, there's nothing Christian about this. This organization teaches a false gospel, totally false.
And you know what's interesting, too, if you think about it, if you guys really think about this, the very things that people are being disfellowshipped for, I bet you 100% the governing body is also doing, and doing worse in the background.
Yes. That's right. Do as we say, but don't do as we do, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can almost bet they're doing everything. I mean, from what I've heard and seen online, you know, they're involved in organizations that if you were to work for them, you would be disfellowshipped for.
Oh, totally.
They're getting money from these places and stuff. So, yeah, and supposedly they're involved in the interfaith movement. I mean, there's a thing with the Catholic Church going on that they're deeply getting involved with.
Yeah, well, they're involved with the United Nations, you know, and they're involved in a lot of things. So people who are listening that have never heard this, they really need to do the research. They really do.
Well, that's what
organization is not anything what you think it is. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Constance.
If you have family that are still alive, I'm not sorry I went back to do the care. And if you could contact your family and undo that shunning, it's worth it.
Well, you're right, Pixie. Susan, did you have a thought too? I see a number of people give a chance to speak up. If someone wants to, you run with us, go ahead. All right. Well, anyways.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Susan.
I like that phrase too about the Watchtower has no more wiggle room. And one thing about what the Six Screens does is it introduces you to a lot of people. And we're a congregation too. We're like a big worldwide little group here, and we can rely on each other. I mean, there's all kinds of solutions to different problems, and if we let it out there and start introducing ourselves to other people by either giving out our phone number or our emails or just trying to talk to people that are talking up on the program, I'm sure they'd love to talk to you privately if you have a hard time speaking up publicly during the program. Please do it. It really helps. When I left, that was, 11, 12 years ago. It doesn't seem that long ago, but it was. But talk to people. Get it out there, and you may find solutions to your problems you may have never thought of before, or things people are doing or have done that will help you. So please, you know, be involved with other people. That's what's going to really help you get through this time.
Well, amen to that, Susan. Yes, it does. I know it helped you. It helped me. It helped everybody listening to this program tonight. When we first started wiggling our way loose from the Watchtower, man, we couldn't wait to talk to somebody that could kind of have the same feelings. Boy, we would spend so much time just doing that. But now we have a real good community here, and we're so proud of it. We thank you all for wanting to come here and spend time with us every Saturday night right here on the Six Screens Telenetwork. Now, what we do is we have a telephone line here. It's a conference line. We got about 20 people on it right now, and it fluctuates all night long. Sometimes it's gone as high as 50, 60 people. Sometimes it drops down to 15 people. But right now, there's about 20 people on the telephone line that are listening in. And you know what we do when we shut this live program down? I'm going to leave the telephone line open. Now, you want to play by the rules in here. You know, if you want to speak up, you hit *6. And then what you want to do is hit *6 when you're not speaking, or at least hold your hand over, the receiving part of the communicating part of the telephone so that people don't hear all this gobbledygook. So respect that. Don't everyone speak up at once. Be very gentle and civil in there. And you can have a good time, and it's not being recorded. It's not being recorded. It's not live on YouTube or Facebook. No one knows who you are. You can be anonymous, so don't worry about that. I had a woman, in fact, call me 2 weeks ago. She says, Rick, I feel awful bad. She says, I was in that program you have at the end of your live programs and talking, and I kind of got really upset with somebody in there, and I wanted to apologize to him. So she called me. So, try to be civil, be nice to one another, and you can stay on. I leave the phone line to go on as long as you want, but like I say, just kind of don't talk over each other. Let one person talk and the next person talk, and try to work the system, because I can't be monitoring it all night long. So go ahead and give it a shot. When the program ends, I'll leave the phone lines on. And, I want to thank you all for wanting to be part of the Six Screens and come here and talk every Saturday night with us. It's been a real pleasure. And we've seen so many changes in the Watchtower. So if you like the channel, if you like this channel, we don't make any money on this, friends, but if you like it, put it on the YouTube and Facebook and like it, make a comment, subscribe to the channel. And what it does is it will get the word out. More and more people will be able to watch us and be helped by some of the people I'm calling into the program. So give that a thought. Now, also, we got that new AI video. I'm going to close with that tonight. You'll see that at the end of the program. It's a new AI video that'll be up on YouTube and Facebook. You've seen it here first. It's Rutherford driving into Beth Sareem in his yellow Cadillac, and he's being greeted by the prophets of old. So you want to watch that. That'll be the last thing we play tonight. So I want all of you folks out there, keep standing tall. Keep waving the flag of victory. Don't ever let your visions die. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, by all means, turn off the new light. I'm going to play the video now, so take a look at it. I think you'll find it very, very fascinating. Let's do it right now.
Beth Sareem, Hebrew for House of the Princes, is a mansion built in 1929 by the Watchtower Society. According to the 1939 Watchtower publication Salvation, this San Diego mansion was built for the faithful men of old, who would be resurrected and reside in the home. The Watchtower later abandoned the mansion's purpose and stated the house was built for Brother Rutherford, second president of the Watchtower Society, because his doctor advised him to spend his winters in a warmer climate. However, the real purpose for the mansion was strictly for Rutherford's use and his servants, to live high off the hog through Watchtower funds during the Great Depression. Although he knew the mansion was strictly for his own benefit, Rutherford fabricated this so-called resurrection of the faithful men to keep his true intentions concealed and to maintain the urgency of the end times for his own financial gain. Of critical importance, Rutherford already falsely predicted these men would return in 1925, 4 years prior to the date of the mansion's deed.
You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.